Hi there and welcome back. This is Fia. Today I thought I'd show you something that I've been doing for a couple of years now, I think about 2. And that is making my own masks and stencils. I have this prepped and I'm going to show you how I do it. This is a picture frame, a glass picture frame. The kind with just wooden back with snaps on it, and I've taken the glass. On the back here I've just taped a printed picture. This is a picture of 3 mandala color yourself pictures, and you can find lots of free images on the internet that you can print and do this with. On top of it, I have a piece of a file folder, a plastic file folder, and I'm going to show you some examples. And I'm using masking tape just to tape these in, or tape these on, and tape them as tight as I can. This glass sheet, I've also taped the corners since they are sharp. And that is my setup. I'm going to show you the tool I use. You have some different file folders that I have found. The red one I have taped down is one of these, and these are a bit sturdier. I don't know if I can show you properly, but they're not super soft plastic like these ones. These ones I bought, and they work, but not very well. You see, they're like floppy. This one, not so floppy. This one is one I found, and I haven't found it again. That is really sturdy, and I really like this. And you can also use something like this, which has pretty firm sheets, with the front and back being a little bit firmer. And you can find them at like I think your dollar stores in the States have them and stuff. I find them at these ones. I buy at Clas Ohlson in Sweden. I think a 12 pack is 29 or 39 Swedish crowns. And I cut this off and open it up, so I get 2 pieces. And then depending on how big your stencil is gonna be. I don't do bigger than A4 size because I don't use bigger stencils. And some of them I can do stencils like this big or something. So those are the file folders. Like I said, try getting to feel the thickness, because you want a bit of sturdiness to them. Tool I use to make my stencils, you can use an X-Acto knife or something like that, but that is really time consuming and my hands can't take that. So I have gotten, this is a soldering iron, and this is a 15 watt soldering iron, so it's not very hot. You don't want a too hot soldering iron, because it will melt your stencils too much. And this is just, I found it at, I think, Clas Ohlson as well. And these are the findings for this one. What you need is a soldering iron with a screw, so you can change the nib. And as you can see, I have a special type of nib. See if I can get it to focus. This is a very hard metal rod. I got a bunch of them, and it's stainless steel, I think. And it's really hard to bend and stuff, so you need something rigid and that conducts heat but does not melt. So that's the hardest thing to find. I have this at home because I bought it for something, and I have a little bunch of them. You could probably get something at your hardware store. And I bent it, so it's bent. Let's see, it's bent like this, so I can get it and screw it so it tightens in the soldering iron. I'm not gonna touch it because it's hot. And still connects to the soldering iron and keeps, so the heat transfers to it. Then what I did was I took a file and I just filed the tip, and I think it's starting to get to the point where I need to refile this. And let's see. And I just use a file like this, and now this is hot, so just filing and turning. Let's see if I can. Gives you more of a point. And I'll do a better filing when this is cooled off. So now let's see if I can zoom you in a bit. And we're gonna start doing this stencil. And it's super simple. This is gonna become a mask, which means I'm gonna keep this part, the pattern, and I'm gonna lose the outside of it, and the insides of it. So let me show you. I just go in, and usually I am very much closer to it when I'm doing this, so I can see the pattern properly. And as you can see, it's super simple. Just take your time, follow the lines. If you wanted to make this into a stencil instead of a mask, you would have to make sure to connect all the pieces. Like here, it's a piece here that doesn't connect to anything, which means you have to make connections. So like this piece, for example, I want to keep this piece. It doesn't have a connection. And for my mask, I'm gonna go like this and connect it. And to not make it flimsy, I need to connect it in at least 2 places. Preferably more, depending on how sturdy you want it to be. Like I said, it's harder doing this when you're not on top of your pattern. Usually my head is right on top of this. I recommend you having open windows and stuff and air going through, so you don't breathe this. It doesn't like smell or anything, but it is plastic and you're heating it up. So I'll just do this little part and I show you how it looks. And like you see, I tend to do this quite slowly, but not super slow. And then I just go in and remove the pieces I have taken out or decided I don't want. Like so. And then you just keep going. You keep going and doing this until your mask is all cut out. And I'm gonna do that and I'll come back and show you how it looks. Okay, so see you in a bit. I've done all my burning out. Something I forgot to mention was when you're doing stencils, cut or masks or something, cut the outside last, since you want something to keep it together. So this is how it looks when it's cut out but not picked out yet. And this is a mask. And here I see I forgot some pieces. So I need to go back in. And unfortunately, I have not yet turned my soldering iron off. So I'm gonna go back and do these pieces quickly. And this took me about 15 minutes, which can seem like a long time depending on but for the price, it's just time for me. I usually sit and do stencils. I've been on vacation now, and stencil has been my go-to craft when I've been home during my vacation, which means I've been sitting in front of the telly and just doing stencils while I'm watching shows and stuff. A good thing to have while you're doing this, because you might have pieces where the soldering iron hasn't burned if you went over it too fast or something. Because if you have pieces that are sticking pretty hard, don't rip them, because you will rip the stencil. Use a small pair of scissors and just cut the pieces out. It goes really fast. So I'm gonna clean this up. I'm gonna get some paint and a piece of paper, and I'm gonna show you how this looks. See you in a bit. Okay, hi, so I'm back, and this is just a watercolor paper that I tried out some watercolor paints I made that I'm gonna try this stencil on. A good thing is also to have some form of sharp tweezers to get like these holes, the smallest holes, to get if there's stuff stuck in them. But okay, there is a small amount of, like, I don't know how to call it, like ridges. They usually go away after you washed it and used it a bit, but I tend to just touch it and feel and keep the ridges up, so the smooth side, the back side, is down. And then I have my one of my trusted makeup sponges, and just some purple, dioxazine purple Liquitex Basic Heavy Body Acrylics. And I'm gonna go in on my new stencil. And see how it does. You can get pretty fine lines using the setup I have for burning out stencils. I'm going to show you another one, which I made the stencil template in just, I think just a free paint program, just using the square tool. Okay, look at that. Looks good, huh? I like it. So that's pretty cool, huh? And that's a mask. Masking work where you keep background color in the pattern instead of filling this pattern in with color and keeping the background clean. So let's see, I'm gonna go get my binders, because I keep this and I have a couple of binders with stencils, and this I put in the page protector where I keep my stencils, so I always know where to put them back. And so if I'm using a see-through page protector as well, or file folder that I cut them out in, I can also see what is in it, because if I haven't used it, it's kind of hard. So I'll be back in a bit. So I've gotten one of the ones I made the pattern for myself, which is this one. And you see, I just made different kinds of rectangles and did this, which is both a stencil and a mask, since I cut out the edges. And as you can see, you can get pretty thin lines without it breaking. And it's pretty easily, if it breaks, as you can see if you can see, it broke there. And I just put a piece of the same plastic on top of it and melted it down with the tip of my soldering iron. So it becomes makes it harder because you can't use it this way very well at this exact point. But since I usually feel it and use the smooth side down anyways, it doesn't matter. And this is my binder where I keep my stencils, and I have them somewhat sorted. And this is 3 stencil patterns I found at the internet. And this is just like a chevron type. And this is made with overhead type plastic, which works great too. It smells a bit more, but this is also, you can just look for free stencils. And these were made with I think 25-watt soldering irons. So these had really bad ridges that I had to actually scrape off. So that's why they look a bit rough. And this is how I keep them. I have a smaller, I have half A5 sized binders for my smaller stencils, and I have these. And I still buy stencils. And this is just one of my binders. So that's it. Easy fun way to make your own stencils. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!